How's it hanging, YouTube? This is King of Feral Imps, and hey, I have Fluffals all built. Actually, it's missing just a few cards, which I'm gonna proxy, but please excuse that, because I just wanted to get this out of the way, and again, for whatever reason, a rare is really hard to get for me, right when the set has just come out. But anyway, so this is updated, of course, for April 2015, and this is my personal build that is still in progress, but for the most part this is like, I guess, a basic skeleton of it, and this is what I've been using, and I love it. It's working out, and it's become a bit more consistent. So just gonna go ahead and get started. The first monster we're going to be playing, of course, is 3 of the Fluffal Doge. Of course, what he does, if he's normal or special summon from the hand, you go ahead and search your deck for 1 Fluffal monster or an Edge Imp Sabers. As far as Edge Imps go, it only searches the Sabers, but it's still really good because it searches out your fusion pieces, and he's a good little 1700. And of course, he's so cute because he's a Doge. Then with these searchers is 3 of the Fluffal Owl. Of course, a similar effect, so when he's normal or special summon from the hand, you can search a polymerization from your deck, which is great because this deck likes to fusion, but he also has the effect that you can pay 500 to essentially polymerization, but only for a Frightfur fusion. So essentially summoning him is going to get you 2 polymerizations, which actually becomes very useful in the end. Next is the new addition 3 Fluffal Sheep. Now, what Sheep does is if you control another Fluffal, you can special summon it from your hand, and also, while it's face on the field, you can bounce another Fluffal to special summon an Edge Imp monster from your graveyard, which actually helps a lot because, you know, summoning Owl, searching your poly, special this, bounce Owl, and you have a poly plus Sheep, and then your Edge Imp monster on the field, and you can go ahead and fuse from there, and then you can use Owl again later in the game. So, you know, that's it. It also, I guess it allows for rank 4 or rank 2 plays, but of course you're not really going to be exceed summoning. Then the last of the monsters is just 1 rabbit, 1 cat, and 1 bear. Using the rabbit to recycle monsters when he's fusion summon, cat to recycle polymerizations, just in case you need to when he's fusion summon, and then bear just to make the fusion, the Frightfur bear. And then he also you can use this effect, I guess, to set a toy pot from your deck, but not exactly. Really, that's it for the Fluffal monsters. Now for the Edge Imps is 1 Edge Imp Saw. This one of the new ones. The effect is that when it's normal summoned, you can discard a Fluffal from your hand, and then draw 2 cards, and then you have to take 1 card from your hand and place it either on top or bottom of your deck. So it kind of helps with cycling through, but we're only playing 1 just for the because he's fusion material for one of the ones that we play. And I guess his effect is kind of useful if you can get it off, and then you can wombo combo with Toy Pot. Then still 2 Edge Imp Sabers, because this is what we use for Wolf, and then Tiger when he eventually comes out. He's not out yet, but of course it's basically a plague spreader, so it helps. So like I said, you can end up top decking with both of these, and make plays with Toy Pot. Yeah. And then last Edge Imp monster is 3 Edge Imp Chain. Now Chain is the good one. His effect is like mediocre. Basically, if he declares an attack, then you can go ahead and search another Edge Imp Chain from your deck. And then it's also got the effect that... It's also got the effect that when it's sent to the graveyard, you can search a Frightfur card. So that's kind of useful. But for the most part, we're just playing 3 for consistency to make sure we get it. And then, of course, 2 Summoner Monks, which is my personal choice, just to make sure we search out the Edge Imp Chains, because Chain is the important one now. And that's all for monsters. Now for spells, which are the main part of the deck. 2 Dark Hole. I just want some good monster removal. Just using 2 Dark Holes. I don't know, because they match. You probably should be using a Regeki and maybe like Smashing Ground, or I just feel like 2 monster removal spells is kind of useful. Like again, this is just what I'm playing right now, but this probably should maybe be Regeki and 1 Dark Hole. You know, mix it up. Then I'm using 2 of double summons. Now, I was using Celestial Transformation before, but I said that I would switch it for double summon because so then I could summon Tour Guides. But since Tour Guide is no longer here, I don't know, I'm still using double summon because with Summoner Monk having that, and so it basically just helps you get off 2 summons. So imagine having that, then you can go ahead and summon your Doge, have your double summon, Doge will search Owl, and then Owl will search your fusion, and more than likely if you have another Edge Imp in your hand, then you can make some good play, some fusion play. Then for the fusion spells is 3 Polymerization, yes. These are fusion substitutes, but it counts as polymerization. You can play any combination of them. I actually find that I like playing at least one fusion substitute, just because it has that great recycle effect. But of course, polymerization does let you do from the hand. But I found that it, with Owl's effect being able to let you do stuff from the hand, fusion substitutes actually work out. Again, just because, I mean, it does give you a bit more of a challenge having to get your stuff on the field rather than just in the hand. But again, I really like that recycle effect. In addition to that, I'm just using one Fusion Recovery, just because I'm kind of lacking some things for the deck at the moment. But it, I don't know, it helps out being able to make sure you get stuff. Then is the 3, they should be 3 Frightfur Fusions. But for now they're 2 and a Frightfur Factory. So what Frightfur Fusion does, it's basically Miracle Fusion for Frightfurs. So some of the best plays are going Poly, fuse your stuff, and then go Frightfur Fusion to banish all the stuff you just used to fuse and then basically get 2 monsters. So that is extremely useful. And then Frightfur Factory is basically just another fusion thing. It lets you fuse by, but you have to pay the cost of banishing either a Polymerization or a Frightfur Fusion from your grave, and if it's ever sent to the graveyard, you can add one of your banished Frightfur Fusions back to your hand. So I kind of like it in that sense that it lets you, you get off multiples of these. Of course, you should be playing 3 of these, and then 1 of these would be fine. Probably just take up the Fusion Recovery for the 3rd of this. Like I said, a rare is hard to find. And speaking of hard to find rares, Fusion Conscription. Of course, I'll have a picture of this displayed somewhere, but basically what Fusion Conscription does is you reveal a fusion monster and then you can add one of its fusion materials from your deck to your hand, but that turn you can't really use that monster's effect or summon it. So for the most part, you're going to be using it to add, I guess, your Edge Imp Chain or your or your Edge Imp Sabers, but of course it can also, I like using it to get out, to search out like the cat and the rabbit, to go ahead and get them to recycle, and then you can continue making more plays. It just adds so much consistency to the deck, but nobody at the sneak peek wanted to trade for these, and they're hard to pull in packs, and again, nobody really wants to trade them for whatever reason. I might end up buying them online. And then the last spell, 3 Toy Pot. I bumped it up to 3 because it's actually kind of useful now, because we're playing just a lot. In addition to the sabers, there's also the saw, which help to stack the deck, and then we also have Summoner Monk. So Summoner Monk can go ahead and help us ditch that away to get the effect. So what it does, you discard a card, reveal the top, or draw the top card of your deck and reveal it. If it's a Fluffal, then you can special summon 1 card from your hand. It doesn't have to be the card that, or 1 Fluffal from your hand, but it doesn't have to be the Fluffal that you revealed. So it's actually really good. Like, let me just explain this really quickly. Say if you have Owl in your hand and you toy vendor a bear, then you can reveal bear and then end up special summoning the Owl to get the effect. Yeah, it helps with special summoning, but for the most part we use it to search. And there's another way to ditch this to the grave and end up searching off of it. It's really useful. I like it. And that's all for spells. The only other trap is 3 traps done, just to make sure everything goes off. And because you can OTK with this, especially with Frightfur Fusion, you can go double wolf. And if you just bring this out, then yeah, stun your opponent. That's all for main deck. Now the extra deck isn't exactly complete and might be one of the biggest offenders, but yeah. So 3 of the, well, I have 2 of the Frightfur Sheep, but I really want to bump it up to 3, and you should too. That's a Pragtail Gur. It's a really good monster. So in order to fuse and summon into it, you need an Edge Imp Chain plus just any other Fluffal monster. So that's extremely good, which is why we're playing 3 of the chain just to search it out and summon this. It's also, when it attacks or is attacked, your opponent can't activate any cards or effects, so it's basically Armades. And it's got the additional effect that if it's destroyed by your opponent's card effect or by battle, then you can special summon it back from the grave, and it gains 800 attack, putting it at 2800, which is amazing. But you can only activate that effect once per turn, so a lot of the times I'll end up making like some big fusion play, and yeah, so normally I'll summon this with like a poly or something else, and then I can go ahead and Frightfur Fusion to bring out the wolf, which, spoilers, we play wolf, and then if my opponent has anything big, suicide this, it comes back with 800 more, and then normally I can get over it, and then wolf can just get in for game, especially if I trap stun that turn. So it's just extremely useful in that sense, and I love this card. This is the reason that the deck is better now. I mean, it was always kind of good, but it's even better now. Not the best. Speaking of, like I said, 3 wolves, just because, I don't know, there's lots of room, kind of, but just because you can get off 3 wolves, you can bring it down to 2, and also just because I happen to have 3 wolves, so I'm just playing 3. Now, of course, what it does is it needs Edge Imp Sabers plus 1 or more Fluffal monsters, and it gets attacks equal to the number of fusion materials used for it. So that's why Frightfur Fusion just comes in so, like, really handy. So if you use Frightfur Fusion to banish 4 monsters, this can attack 4 times, which is 8k, and that's game. But like, you can also end up filling up your graveyard just with some of the choices that I'm playing with this. It's really good. And don't say this is Foxy. This is Wolf. This is a wolf. This deck, yeah, whatever. And this makes me sad because I don't have Frightfur Leo. Some guy pulled it at the sneak peek, and he would not trade it for, like, he was the only guy who pulled Leo at the sneak peek, and he would not trade it, so I have to use Punished Eagle. Enough rambling. What Frightfur Leo does is you need Edge Imp Saw plus 1 Fluffal monster, so that's why we're playing the 1 Edge Imp Saw, but it's not exactly good enough to warrant playing multiple copies of this or Saw. It's basically Ring of Destruction or a Volcasaurus, in that you can destroy one of your opponent's monsters, and they take damage equal to its original attack, plus this can't attack that turn. So again, you can poly into this, and then Frightfur Fusion into a wolf, and then this can get rid of your opponent's problem monsters, and then wolf can go ahead and attack for game. It's just really good. Then just 1 copy of the Frightfur Bear. It's not as good just because it requires specifically Edge Imp Sabers and Fluffal Bear. It can be useful sometimes because it basically what does it do? Oh yeah, that's right. I hardly ever use it, sorry guys. It attacks an opponent's monster, and then it equips it to himself, and it gains 1000 attack for every monster equipped, basically. So it's at 2200, destroying 1 monster gets it up to 32, which is a big amount, and which can be scary. So again, like, it's there in case I can use it, in case I need to. Like I said, destroy a big monster, and then go wolf for game. And the last fusion monster is the amazing, well, not amazing, the design is amazing, Frightfur Chimera. Let me just get a bit closer there, because I need you to see all this beautifulness that is going on in this artwork. It is a mess of toys. Like, so it's a fusion monster, and you need 3 Frightfur monsters to summon it. So of course you're going to be going Frightfur Fusion with that. Although sometimes for fun, I actually end up spamming the board with 3 Frightfurs and then go poly into it. It's crazy. But basically, it's just a big monster. It's your big in case. Normally, you should just Frightfur Fusion this. 3 Frightfur Fusion monsters, and it's basically gains the effect. It basically has the effect of like bear, tiger, and sheep combined. So it's got the Armades effect. It also, if your opponent, and also if it destroys a monster by battle, then you can special summon it to your side of the field, and then it gains 300 attack for every monster of your opponents that you control. So it's just a huge monstrous thing. It's a pretty decent effect. I mean, sometimes it can be worth getting out if you can, but for the most part, you're better off summoning wolf and sheep. Which actually, that's interesting enough, wolf and sheep, because wolves and sheeps, wolves eat sheeps. But yeah, that's all for the fusion monsters. Yeah. And then lastly, Phyrexies. you'll just want to play generic stuff. My extra deck is by no means finished, but I just like playing gachi in things where I have some rank 4s. I might want to find some that new rank 2 that's like a Beast Warrior, and then maybe play some Downward Magicians on top of that. But I'm just playing gachi just in case I need to, because you make it with Sheep, and then where is he? Where's Owl? Owl should, don't ever do this, but just in case, I have an Owl, special the Sheep, exceeds into gachi, and you should be playing a Downward with this to go over that, or something else, or some other rank 2, but whatever. Then for Xyz monsters, I'm actually playing Lavolval Chain. I feel like you should play Lavolval Chain, at least in this build that I'm doing. So, basically, of course, you're going to be making this with your Summoner Monk. So say like, you have your Summoner Monk, and then you can ditch one of your spells, and then Edge Imp Chain, Xyz, and then summon Lavolval Chain, so then detach that. And Lavolval Chain actually lets you ditch any card, not just monster. So you can actually ditch Toy Vendor with Lavolval Chain should you ever need to get that search off. And also it lets you top deck monsters. So should you need to, you can go ahead and top deck your Owl, and if you have another Toy Pot, then you can get that play off in the same turn. And just continue fusion summoning. And he's actually, and of course Lavolval Chain is a decent monster. So he's always kind of worth playing sometimes. Then is the Key Beetle, which, like I said, this is just random rank 4 ideas that you could play, because both these guys are dark, and for whatever reason, should you ever need to make Key Beetle, I guess you can. Then one Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon, just because I feel like you should play maybe some generic rank 4 beater, and then just play any whatever rank 6. I'm just using Photon Strike Bouncer. Gauntlet Launcher is probably better for this. But as far as Xyz monsters go, you don't need Xyz monsters, because you're just going to be Frightfur Fusion Monster deck. Yeah. So anyway, that has been it for this Fluffal deck for the May 2015 format. Yeah, this is the update post Crossroads of Chaos, with of course featuring the new Edge Imps and the new fusions. Yeah, I really love this deck. This is just my first build, this is my initial build, and this is just kind of from what I've been trying out. Of course, I really do need to finish the deck, but I just wanted to go ahead and really profile it, you know, quickly and soon, because I kind of wanted some feedback also on it. If there happen to be any other like Fluffal players out there. Although according to YouTube, I'm one of the top, but whatever. So anyway, this is just really a fun deck. However, with the new support, I really do feel like that you can, you know, bring it up to, like, you can. I can probably top a locals with this. Not saying I'm the best player by any means, but just because of the new support, especially Sheep. Sheep is just such an amazing card for this deck, and kind of in general. But Fluffal, not that they're more competitive, but this support just really helped them out, and I'm very glad that we finally have it. Of course, Tiger will also help make the deck much better, but this is what we have so far. So anyway, if you enjoy the content, remember to subscribe and also leave a like and a comment to show your support. Let me know what, like, if you love this deck. Of course, your suggestions, please. I really would love those. And if you have a Fluffal deck, then you can go ahead and let me know, and I'll even check it out if you post a profile or whatever. But anyway, this is just my Fluffal deck, and BT Dubs, Owl is my favorite. Let me know your favorite Fluffal. This has been King of Pharaoh Imps. Have a nice day.